and Marc Frank were there with me. And it was almost completely dark. You could barely see anything. You could see the basic outline of the plane, but I knew there was nothing we could do except go find some help somewhere.
Mentioning that, or?
Well, Artimus was the first one to speak up. He said, man, we have got to go get some help because we can't help these people because, you know, the plane was mangled and it's basically dark, like I said. So he says, we got to find some help. And you could see through the woods, you could see a little bit of a light. And what it was is one of those security light posts that people put in their yard.
Right.
So we figured, you know, that's the only civilization around. We got to head toward that light. So we started walking through the woods, and we came up to a creek, small creek. And my left arm was banged up pretty good. I had a concussion, broken nose. And I'm thinking, I'm not crossing that creek because I can't swim in this condition. So, you know, I'm likely to drown. I'm not going to cross the creek. And Artimus just jumps in the middle of the creek, you know. And he goes, it's not very deep, you know, just past his knees. So at that point, I said, okay, we'll wade across the creek. I mean, that's just the way he was. So we wade across the creek. Finally got to the edge of the woods, and right on the edge of the woods is a barbed wire fence, cow pasture. So we, you know, crawled through the barbed wire fence and started walking across this cow pasture toward the light. And I noticed there was cattle all over this place. And I'm thinking, I'm banged up, not in real good shape, survived the plane crash. All I need now is for a bull to come here and run over my ass. So we kept walking, the cattle didn't bother us. We got to another barbed wire fence at the edge of a road. And we're climbing through this barbed wire fence, and this pickup truck was flying down the road. And I mean, he was flying, and he went right past us. We were waving, you know, trying to get him to stop. Went down the road about half a mile, turns around, comes flying back again. We're going like, hey, and he went right past us again, pulled up in a driveway in his house, and that's where the security light was, at his house. And that was Johnny Modes. Anyway, so he pulled up in a driveway, so we're walking down the fence, and we walk across his lawn up toward his house, and he pulled a shotgun out of the truck and fired that thing over our head. And at that point, I'm thinking, okay, I survived the plane crash. The bull didn't kill me. Now this redneck farmer's going to shoot me. And I hit the dirt, and I think everybody else did too, except maybe Artimus didn't. I don't know. He was pretty ballsy. And we were yelling like, hey, you know, we were in a plane crash on the other side of that cow pasture. And I think Johnny at that point realized we were telling the truth. I can't blame him for acting the way he did, because, you know, we were beat up and bloody, and we all had long hair, you know, like a bunch of cavemen walking around. Yeah. And later on I found out that at that point there was a helicopter flying around with a spotlight. It was Air Sea Rescue trying to find that plane. And Johnny thought it was the sheriff chasing escaped convicts to the pea farm, not far from there. So, you know, Johnny had good reason to be concerned. I would have been too.
Tried to call some people or whatever, and then you were taken to the hospital then, right?
Right. He took us in the house. His wife was in there, and, you know, we sat on the couch, and I kept trying to go to sleep, pass out, and Artimus was snapping at him, don't go to sleep. He knew a little bit more about that than I did.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, you know, you have a concussion, you're not supposed to go to sleep.
Right, yeah.
So, you know, he kept slapping him, like, wake up, wake up. And I said, look, you got to call Air Sea Rescue. They're going to be looking for us, and tell them where we are. And the lady got on the phone, she made a couple of calls, and then she said, okay, well, we're going to put you in a car and drive you to the hospital. So me and Marc Frank got in the car. I can't remember. I think Artimus stayed behind because he was going to show him where the plane was or something to that effect. And we're driving to the hospital, and this lady is just, I mean, she's got it floorboarded, and she's down these windy country roads, and it's freaking me out. I said, lady, damn, take it easy. I just survived a plane crash. I don't want to get killed in a car wreck.
Right.
With Marc Frank and Artimus, and you guys did a trek through the woods, a heroic trek through the woods, and you know, that was quite a feat for three guys that were in a plane crash and going through a swamp and in the dark, you know, and not even really sure where they were going. So, you know, you got something to say, Mark?
I was just saying, actually, Artimus did a good job getting us out. Now, me and Kenny were, behind Artimus as we come up, and we were just sort of almost like zombie walking. I mean, it took a while for us to kind of get our faculties as we were coming out. But don't get me wrong, if I had to describe it, it was my darkest night, And so, like I said, Art did a good job getting us out. And whatever happened after that, me and Kenny were already at the hospital.
If you don't mind answering these questions, just before the airplane crash, can you remember, or do you recall much of what happened, or did it happen so fast that you don't have a recollection of all these things?
No, I was conscious the entire time, and I remember everything that happened.
Could you relate to us the events just prior to the crash?
Well, as far as getting technical, you know, I won't get technical, I won't get into any detail, but just before the crash, all of us knew we were going to crash. We had no idea we were going to crash into a heavy wooded area. We thought we were going to go in. The co-pilot, John, came back, and John said that we were going to make an attempt at landing on a field or a highway. And, of course, we didn't even know what state we were in. We were thinking we were pretty close to Louisiana, as we are, but we didn't know that. And so everybody knew we were going to attempt a pretty dangerous landing, but we had no idea we were going to go into the woods. So there was no panic. There was no bad scene, you know, to speak of. It was just everybody was preparing themselves, saying their prayers or whatever they wanted to say. And it was more or less very silent. It was very quiet on the plane. Nobody had anything to say. The only thing I remember just before we started clipping the treetops was one of the sound men that was traveling with us, he yelled out, "Trees."
And I just yelled as loud as I could to whoever could hear me. I said, "I'm going for help. I'll be back." And a couple of guys were wandering around into the crew. And I told them, I said, "Man, these guys are going, I can't do nothing, man." The guys were really battered. And I said, "Go sit down by that tree and hold your wounds, you know, and cut off your blood thing. Do a tourniquet." And a couple other guys there, and I said, "I'm going." And my socks were like 6 inches over the edge of my feet. So I couldn't walk too good through the briars and brambles. And I was waiting for a snake to come up and go, "I'm going to bite you." Because I was going to go,
Yeah.
you know, you can't stop me now. You know?
Yeah.
So I found a place. I found a farmhouse. Got to the farmhouse, and the guy thought I was an escaped criminal because I was covered with blood. And he came out with his shotgun. He was protecting his family, man. You know, hippie.
Yeah.
He came out and he went kaboom, boom, like that. And I yelled as loud as I could. I said, "Plane crash." And I couldn't yell too loud because my chest had been, all the cartilage in my chest had been ripped, and my chest was like off, you know. And I went, "Plane crash." And the guy goes, "Is that what that was?" He yelled, you know, "Is that what that was?" And he threw his gun down, and he ran, and he embraced me, you know. And I said, "Oh no," you know. And I walked in the house, and I went right to his telephone, and I called dial direct to Pat. And I said, "Pat, there's been a terrible plane crash. I'm in someplace in Mississippi. You know, there's been people killed. I don't know who yet. Don't call anybody. I'm okay. Goodbye." About that time, highway patrol cars started sliding up, you know, and all kinds of people started coming in. And there was, hey, John. And there was about 50 cars there. They had just rehearsed for a disaster. And it was incredible. And all these people started coming up, medical people and stuff, and it was the best feeling in my life I'd ever seen, when I took them back to the corner. I mean, we busted through fences and went through the whole, I mean, this whole entourage of ambulances and trucks and pickups and four-wheel drives and people, and I took them right to the point, and the highway patrolman says, now where are they? And I said, okay, I said, if you take a baseball and throw it as hard as you can about 10 times, go pick it up and throw it again, go pick it up and throw it again, I said, you'll be right on top of them, right there. And about 70 people just with flashlights just went right through the woods, man. It was the, you know, greatest feeling. Then they threw me in a truck and took me to the hospital. But the point of this story is that you're asking me what perspective do all these wrecks and stuff put on the thing now. I feel like I was spared for that reason. Then I got kind of cocky.
Got going. So I got started.
Well, so what was your role in it? What did you do when you were
I went up in the plane and started pulling people out.
You were pulling people out?
Yeah.
Wow. And you had no idea who you were dealing with?
Did not know who it was. No.
Yeah. And what surprised me is I didn't realize there was 26 people on it.
Yeah.
So that was it's a good sized plane,
Big
right?
plane, right.
Big plane. Okay. And
yeah,
so,
when we heard it was a plane crashing, little Cessna airplanes come through here all the time. So that's what we thought it was. When we broke through the bushes and there's this big plane sitting on the ground, we were pretty shocked about how big it was. It came from Greenville, South Carolina.
Okay.
Going to Baton Rouge. And they actually loaded enough fuel to make it down there, but one of the engines was burning excessive fuel, and they ran out of gas. By the time I found out who it was, we already had them gone to the hospital. They're all gone. There was nobody left except the pilot and co-pilot were left, but they were pinned in, and we didn't have any way to get them out. One of the local farmers brought his tractor, Mike Wilson, brought his tractor back in there, and they pulled the plane apart and get them out. Of course, they were deceased, you know.
I said, I really
But,
think I could use some help here. She said,
some of them got out by themselves. A couple were thrown out, I think. 3 guys went out walked out and tried to get help. But we were already, when they walked out, we were walking in. Pretty much. And,
this area now,
so
that traveling to have
all the ones in the back,
not too good.
the least injured were the ones in the back of the plane. And all the deceased were in the rear run.
That lady
All
was,
of them.
you know,
So
I'm sure
it was
she would
six-
recommend her a lot.
6 deceased in the front. And
I told her she needs to work.
pretty much it.
how long did it take all the media to converge here and turn it into a circus?
I was walking out of the woods. I'd been there, you know, a long time, I don't know how long. And just standing around looking and thinking, I want to go to the house. And when I was going out of the woods, I met the media coming in.
Ma'am, I was told to come out here and talk to you because I was told you're the woman who shot Artimus Pyle. Is that true?
No, it's just a joke.
Now,
But he said he was shot when he came to my house. He wasn't shot. He used my telephone to call home or he called somewhere, and that was a long distance call. And Artimus never paid me for that phone call. And
So
we was poor back then. He should have paid me for that phone call.
So that's become a local joke around here. Some people before I came out here said, oh, you got to talk to her because she has a shirt that people have made her that has a big bullet hole on it and it says, I shot Artimus.
First, Artimus said he got shot, and then someone told him, the farmer said he didn't shoot you. And then he told him, well, it was the farmer's son. Well, guess what? The farmer's son hadn't even been born then. So he's changed his story over the years. And then he started telling that, well, the bullet ricocheted and came back and hit him in the shoulder. Well, he came in my house.
That's where the story ends. Thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah.
When I drove
He
up
didn't
there,
get
he
shot.
wasn't shot. He was in good health.
Yeah, you were a rescue as well.
Going there.
Yeah,
And it was because the 3 of them was chasing him down in the field over there. And then he flew out of the field, came down to the house, our house trailer, and they still coming after him up the driveway.
because they just didn't know who he was or what he was doing.
At the same time, that helicopter was flying all around with a big spotlight on it. And so he thought that they were escaped convicts. He come in the house and he said, y'all get on, he told me, get down on the floor escaped convicts are out here.
Wow.
He got his rifle and went back out there and shot up in there.
Gotcha.